Hey everyone, and welcome back. I'm your host, MNG, and today we're diving into something super important, something that affects, get this, almost 90% of adults in the US. It's called insulin resistance. Sounds kind of sci-fi, right? Like your body is staging a rebellion against insulin. Well, in a way, it kind of is. Think of insulin like the key to your body's cells. Imagine your cells are like little houses, and they need energy to function, right? That energy comes from sugar or glucose in your blood. Think of glucose as the pizza delivery guy bringing energy to each house. Now, insulin is that key that unlocks the door to each house, letting the pizza guy in to deliver the energy. Make sense? Okay, now picture this. Insulin resistance is like your house locks getting jammed. The pizza delivery guy, glucose, is still there with all the energy, and the key, insulin, is still trying to open the door, but it's just not working as well. The energy can't get into the houses efficiently. That's insulin resistance in a nutshell. Your body is making insulin, sometimes even more insulin, to try and force those jammed locks open, but your cells are becoming less and less responsive. Under Benjamin Bikman says there are basically two lanes to get to this jammed lock situation. Think of it like rush hour traffic. There's the fast lane. Boom, insulin resistance hits you pretty quickly, like within hours. This is often from things like, say, you pulled an all-nighter fueled by sugary energy drinks and junk food. Your body's like, whoa, overload, and temporarily gets a bit insulin resistant. But good news, this fast lane resistance is usually reversible, like when rush hour ends and traffic clears up. Then there's the slow lane. This is the sneaky one. This is insulin resistance that builds up gradually over time, like potholes slowly forming on a road. It's from consistent bad habits. The usual suspects: eating too much processed food, not moving enough, maybe even stress. This slow lane resistance is trickier, but definitely manageable with lifestyle changes. And get this, one of the surprising things that can jam up your locks: smoking and vaping. Dr. Bikman mentioned a study that showed smoking causes insulin resistance. And vaping? Potentially even worse. Think of it like pouring sticky syrup into your locks. Yikes, definitely not good for smooth energy delivery. Now, why should you care about these jammed locks? Because insulin resistance isn't just about feeling a bit sluggish after a big meal. It's linked to a whole gang of nasty chronic diseases. We're talking Alzheimer's, heart problems, even things like erectile dysfunction and PCOS in women. It's like a domino effect. One jammed lock can knock over a whole line of health dominoes. Okay, let's talk about fat cells. Turns out it's not just about how many fat cells you have, but how big they are. Think of your fat cells like balloons. If they're just nicely inflated, they're generally okay. But if you keep overstuffing them, like blowing them up way too big, they get stressed out and start causing trouble. These overstuffed fat balloons are more likely to contribute to insulin resistance. And guess what makes fat cells grow? Yep, insulin itself. It's a bit of a vicious cycle. Dr. Bikman also had some interesting thoughts on those so-called longevity gurus. He's a bit skeptical of the hype. He's more about focusing on metabolic health, especially keeping your blood sugar in check. He even defends cholesterol, saying it's essential, not the villain it's often made out to be. Food for thought, right? And get this, it's not just food and lifestyle. Environmental toxins can also mess with your insulin sensitivity. Things like diesel exhaust, cigarette smoke, vaping. Again, even microplastics and chemicals from plastics. Think of it as invisible pollutants gumming up your body's systems. Now for some good news. Dr. Bikman is a fan of the ketogenic diet, basically a diet lower in carbs and higher in healthy fats. He says it can be like flipping a fuel switch in your body, helping you burn fat faster, boost brain function, and even out your energy levels. He even touched on the gut microbiome and challenged the idea that you need tons of fiber for a healthy gut on keto. Controversial, but interesting. And finally, he briefly mentioned those GLP-1 weight loss drugs. These drugs work partly by boosting a hormone called GLP-1, which helps you feel full. But guess what? Eating lower carb meals can actually naturally boost your GLP-1 levels too. So diet can be a powerful tool. So there you have it. Insulin resistance demystified. It's like having jam locks in your body's energy delivery system, and it's way more common and serious than you might think. But the good news is you have a lot of control. Focus on a healthy lifestyle, ditch the smoking and vaping, be mindful of environmental toxins, and maybe even explore a lower carb approach. That's all for today, guys. Stay tuned for more bite-sized health info, and until next time, keep those locks, your cells, working smoothly.